This is the one that a lot of people have been talking about. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Who do you got?
Okay. I think that when you're breaking these things down, you're doing it for the audience, right? I don't think it's just you and I's opinion. I think if we're able to observe somebody else's opinion, such as that of the UFC, sometimes the UFC makes it clear who they hope is going to win. It's a mistake. They don't do it on purpose. They just have certain tells. And the UFC, by not announcing a number one contenders match, they've got Charles Oliveira versus Benny DeRush, but they have not said that's a number one contenders match. You've got Islam Makhachev, who's sitting waiting on the shelf, and all Dana said about him is that Volkanovski wins his next one, and Islam does. He'll put them back together. So wait a minute. We need a job for Islam today. And the fact that they have not given Islam a job tells me that they're giving a real good look at a fight. Now, why do I think it's this one? Because I don't believe this is true for Justin Gaethje. I do not believe, Mo, that we're in a semifinal, if you will, and whoever emerges goes on to the championship. I think it's a one-sided deal. It's only for Fiziev. It's going to come after the fact, but I feel as though the UFC has done some tells. And I believe those tells are we're keeping this one open, and we're keeping an eye on it, and we're not going to name it ahead of time because it's not good for the goose and good for the gander. It's only good for our new parity with Fiziev. We're going to see if Fiziev can get it done. The UFC thinks Fiziev is going to win. That's what I think. They want him to win. That's what I think. And you know what, Mo? I'm taking Justin Gaethje.
Me too. I think that I think the Gaethje's pressure, some good calf kicks, leg kicks, and he could keep consistent, educated pressure behind that jab. I think he can get the job done.
You know, Mo, I had a moment one time with Justin Gaethje. I'm in a bathroom. Fighter MMA Awards. I'm hosting the show. I'm in my tuxedo. He comes in. He's dressed very nicely. He's up for a nomination. I'm passing him in the bathroom. He stops me. And I used to be the announcer for World Series of Fighting, now known as the PFL, but World Series of Fighting back when Gaethje was their champion. He stops me and he says, "Hey, you remember the World Series of Fighting days?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Yeah, you were announcing. I was just coming through." And I said, "Yeah." And I'm standing there, I'm waiting for him to say, "I appreciated it. I love the work you did." You know what he says to me? He goes, "Yeah, I remember that too." I finished drying my hands, and I walked out the door. But he tried to have a moment with me. He considered having like a special moment with me. He just forgot his words.
Well, you know what? I think Gaethje's going to come with some pressure, full steam ahead, find behind the stiff jab. You'll see him drop those nasty leg kicks, and I think he'll throw more body shots.
Mo, when I look at Bobby Green as the common opponent, when I look at Bobby Green, what Gaethje versus Bobby would look like versus Fiziev versus... I mean, you're never going to convince me that Bobby Green didn't beat Fiziev. I realize he lost the decision. I was there live in Texas. He won that fight. And Bobby certainly is something special, but I do feel that Justin Gaethje deserves the credit that we give him, which is he is one step above. This is a former number one contender, but this is also a former champion of the world. People forget he's the one that stopped Ferguson's streak. And not only did he stop it for every single minute of that fight. I'm taking Gaethje. 15 minutes is easy for him, Mo. Don't forget that. Everybody's intimidated about the time. A fighter's biggest fear isn't losing. Our biggest fear is getting exhausted. You reach exhaustion and you can no longer follow the basic rule of protect yourself at all times. Justin Gaethje, 15 minutes, man, that's light work for him.
And Chael, remember when we used to wrestle back in the day about 20 years ago? When we had to face those tough Russians? What did they say? They said, make them work. Get them tired. Now, I think that Gaethje, this fight is meant for him to win or lose. I think it's his to win or lose, man.
Sure.
I really think so.
I agree with that, right? Everybody reaches the tipping point. I just don't believe Gaethje's there. I keep seeing Gaethje, keep thinking it's probably over. The sun is probably set. But that's not what I see, Mo. That's not what I see. I see a guy that's just as driven. I see a guy that's just as hungry, that's got just as good of skills. And I also see an All-American wrestler that never uses his wrestling. And I only bring that to you because the audience is so convinced it's Gaethje's lower leg kick versus the power of Fiziev. Not so fast. It's only that realm, but that's where Gaethje wants it to be. He's got the ability to take him down.